Hello guys, in this video we are going to discuss more about answer writing. See, one of the biggest myth that mostly UPSC aspirant have is that the knowledge alone will get you mark and you try to improve knowledge, you try to read a lot of PDFs and books or whatever it is available, but that is not the reality. I've seen every year thousands of aspirants, they know almost the same content, right? If you're writing mains, in fact, 95% of you have the same content. They read the same books and they read the same current affair magazine, what is available, and the same coaching material. You might have taken the same test series also, but still, I've seen people scoring 85 marks and some other is scoring 120, and I've seen someone else is scoring 150 plus, right? And the question is, why this difference, right? Because UPSC is not merely testing what you know. So, what they are testing how effectively you present what you know within the limited time and the limited space which is given to you. So, see, if you ask me what is answer writing is not about handwriting. There is nothing to do with the handwriting. Answer writing is about communication. That is your ability to convert your knowledge that you already have into the mass. So, today, what we'll be doing is I'll share a complete framework that I personally recommend to my mentees. You have seen their improvement in GS marks and in sociology also. So drastic improvements is what they have witnessed. So this is what I recommend to my mentees personally, and that's exactly what I'll be discussing in this video. So that if you follow, it is going to definitely give you a high score in general studies answer. See, most of the examples that I use will be from history, but the principles that I'm discussing, the concepts and the ideas that I'm sharing, the structure that I'm sharing, so same is applicable across all GS papers and your optional also and your ethics also. So I can tell you with guarantee that by the end of this session, you will have complete idea. You will know exactly how toppers think when they are writing answers and how examiners also evaluate your copy. Okay, so you will be in a position to think from examiner perspective also. So let's get started. See, among all the stages of UPSC exam, means is probably the most predictable. I would say it is predictable. You have a fixed syllabus, and the question pattern is very clearly known. Like your objective paper, right? In your there can be twist in the way they ask question, the options which is given, and vast area from where they'll ask you question, and all is not sure. But that's not the case. The syllabus is fixed, pattern is known, the word limit is fixed, right? The page that is given to you is fixed, and the time is also fixed. But still, I don't know why students fail because they may be underestimating answer writing. So what you need to do is remember this: knowledge give you the content. So most of you have the content. Now, if you need to get mark, what you need is the presentation part. So knowledge, you have content. Once you present it, that will convert content into mark. So the examiner, he think from his perspective, he is evaluating hundreds of copies every day, hundreds of personalities he is watching, hundreds of answers he is watching, and they don't have time to for your good points, right? So you must make your answer examiner friendly. You should make them very clear that this is the top priority content, this is a good point, this is a diagram, right? So the good content combined with a good structure always work better than any excellent content which is presented poorly. So what I mean to say is, yes, you have an excellent content, you present it poorly, examiner have to search for it. It is worse than average content with good presentation, good structure. Okay, so I hope you got the point. Now let's start with some of the common mistakes that the aspirants make. See, I've seen that they begin with a generic introduction. They write everything in long paragraph, and there are no headings, there are no subheadings, there is no proper structure, no diagrams, no visual appeal, and many answers remain one-dimensional, multiple dimensions which are not covered. So what is asked is what you write. What is not asked but implied in the question, you are not writing the different dimension, and time management also become difficult because students keep thinking when writing. So the result is obviously predictable, right? Even after studying for months and hours, your marks remain average, that 85, 90, 95. So the objective is not to simply writing more. The objective should be, or the objective is writing better answers. Now let's try to understand the philosophy of high scoring answers. See, when I talk about a good answer, that must satisfy six qualities. Now, if the six qualities is there in your answer, this is what you need to think about. Then your answer is good. So, first is the quality of the answer. Every point should add value. There is no need to repeat the point, right? You added a point, it should add value. If you're repeating the same point, that's just time waste and space waste. So that is not giving you anything extra. So the quality is very important. Second is adequate content should be there. That means quantity. So quality should be there at the same time. Adequate quantity should also be there. You should provide enough dimension. Now see, if I need to have a 15 marker, 15 point if I need, right, 1 mark each, then you can think in 5 dimension. You may not be able to uh, quickly brainstorm that 15 points random. But if you can think 5 dimension, economic, political, social, right, environmental, that 5 dimension if you get, then 3 points from each dimension, and the top, most important point you write first means you already got the content. So you got the quantity and you got the quality also. Different dimensions you have covered. The third is structure. The answer should flow logically. That flow should be there. And fourth is that clarity. The examiner should understand your idea instantly. So it should be very clear. And fifth is dimension. Like the pastel approach, you can follow the political, social, economic, cultural, ethical, environmental perspective that should appear wherever it is relevant. And finally, you need to also talk about positive, right? The relevance. So everything you write should directly answer the question. So whenever you prepare an answer, make sure mentally at least you check these 6 parameters, whether I'm writing enough content, quantity, whether the content have the valid quality, the structure is correct or not, am I giving proper clarity and different dimensions and relevance. So these 6 is what you need to check at least mentally when you're writing the answer. Now see, when I talk about a standard answer, normally every answer should follow a predictable structure, right? You start with a concise introduction and then you write the body using headings and points. So wherever possible, add value through diagrams and then flowcharts and then timelines and maps or tables. And finally, you give a balanced conclusion and conclude appropriately. So this simple structure itself, if you follow, that improves your presentation significantly. So this is a standard answer structure. You have a concise introduction, and question is how to write introduction. Directly you start with the definition from the topic which is asked in the question. That way you can start with, right? Use subheadings, use diagrams, use flowchart, use timelines, use maps, use tables wherever is possible. A geography question, simply you draw a map and explain it, right? So it's very simple. Straight to foremost, they're asking you just draw a map and you explain that situation. Now, how you go to write effective introduction? See, the introduction should immediately establish the context. So, depending upon the question, you can start with either a timeline or historical period or an important event or a key personality or a constitutional provision, or directly with the definition itself, you can start with. Okay. So, these just 1 minute. Okay, what I was talking about, yeah, it can be directly from the definition of what has been asked, or can start with a current affair linkage. So, see, suppose a question is asking about like transition from Rigvedic period to later Vedic period. So, instead of directly jumping into the differences between them, you can first mention historical period and then explain that this was a phase of socio-economic and political transition. And within 2 or 3 lines, the examiner is actually understanding that you know the background and the context is set and you have the clarity on that. So that is basically creating a first positive impression in the mind of the examiner, and he'll be interested to read further, right? So again, always remember facts are very important. Facts actually separate the average aspirant from a serious aspirant. So whenever you get an opportunity to present the facts, that give more credibility to your answer. So whenever possible, try to include the facts. Means it could be data, it could be timeline, it could be dates if it is history, and it could be dynasties, it could be important personalities, their names and historical events. If you're talking about polity, the constitutional articles, or the committees, or the reports, right? All these you can add the data, whatever is available, the examples, right? The facts, if you give, that gives more authenticity, that gives more credibility to your answer. But don't overload your answer with facts. Whenever you present a point, substantiate that. You can use examples, you can use committees, you can use facts. Right? Facts should support your argument. It is not going to replace your analysis. Simply dumping the facts also is of not much use. Okay. Now, one more thing that I want to discuss is about question decomposition. In fact, this is one of the most powerful technique in answer writing. You first break down the question into small parts. Suppose you got a 10 marker or a 20 marker. You mentally divide that into 3 parts. So, for example, if it is a 12.5 marker that you're getting, that you can divide into 4 parts. So, if you're getting a 15 marker, then you divide that into 5 parts. Now it is very easy, five parts, five dimension, and each dimension you think about 2 or 3 points. So if you do that technique, that immediately solve three problems actually. Brainstorming become easier because 15 marker you divided into five parts. Now the brainstorming is easier. I don't want to collect 15 points. I just need five dimension, 2, 3 points of each dimension, right? The coverage also is better, multi-dimensional it is, and time management also improve automatically. So instead of thinking about one huge answer for that 15 marker or thinking about 15 points in a stretch, you simply divide into five or four if it is 12.5 mark or three if it is 10 marker and one small heading. That headings you can give and under that you can write the important points and such kind of parts that will actually help you to think, to manage time, to have a better coverage also, right? And also let me tell you, if you break questions in this way, that improve your quality as well as quantity. Imagine you have a 15 marker. Suppose you write only two headings, you now need around 8 points under each heading. 7 8 points, total 15 points is what we are looking for. So most students struggle for collecting that 15 points. But instead of that, if you are creating five heading means what? Five dimension I'm talking about. Now you only need three meaningful points under each heading, and it is very easy for you to do it. So the answer automatically become richer, multi-dimensional, that improve the quantity as well as quality. The points you have written under each will have the quality also. It is adding value at the same time. Altogether, you have written 15 points that add the quantity also, that add the relevance also, that add the dimension also. So just remember this formula: more dimension, that usually means more marks. So whenever possible, add more dimensions. Spread your answer into different dimensions. So this point, quality plus quantity framework. See, I've seen many aspirants ask, should I focus on quality or quantity? Both are important, right? It is not that quality by compromising quantity, I can't say. Quantity by compromising quality also, I can't say. Both are equally important. Both are it's like a coin, right? Two sides of the same coin. So you need to, have both quantity as well as quality. A high quality answer, a good scoring answer that combines quality points plus adequate number of points. So only quality without enough coverage, that leaves a gap. Similarly, only quantity without adding value or quality, that becomes so much superficial also. So we need a balance between quantity and quality. So how can you make sure? Just by dividing into sub part, you can actually do that. And you need to use some headings everywhere so that you are showing different dimension. You are telling that these are important points. Every answer should contain headings. It's not that everything is in paragraph and the examiner should search for it. Headings actually improve readability immediately, right? So one additional technique that I used to recommend to my students is drawing a simple box around the important headings. For example, social changes, economic changes, political changes, religious changes. And when the examiner flips through your answer sheet, headings immediately stands out. So he understand that you covered everything, right? Now remember one thing: the examiner should never search for your answer. That's the examiner psychology. He don't want to search for it. You should serve it very clearly. Think like a newspaper. Important information appears prominently, right? Your answer should do the same. Exactly the same. So your presentation is the communication. Present it well. Even I told you divide into five parts. Even in the one part that you're answering, 3 points, most important point should come first. So that create that first impression also. That means you are not missing the most important point also, and that is highlighted also, right? Now, again, I used to get this question: should I write in points or paragraph? See, UPSC generally prefers a structured presentation. Write in points wherever is possible if you have enough content. And see, long paragraph, what happens is when you write unnecessary things also, and that actually reduce visibility of important points also. So points are easier to read, and they help you to add more quantity and quality and improve dimension also, and they save time as well. They also help you to remain within the word limit. So paragraph, can be used only where continuity is necessary. For example, in optional paper, you should be in paragraph. Ethics, you can be in paragraph. Essay, you need to be in paragraph. But GS papers, it is better, so that visibility is higher, quantity is better, quality is better. Understand the difference between GS and optional. See, GS and optional paper, you need different approaches. GS is rewarding what? Dimension. Different dimensions you need to add for the question. But optional rewards what? The depth of knowledge, right? So in GS, if the question is asked touching multiple dimension and relevant perspectives you need to add on each of these dimensions that scores better. But when it comes to optional, the deeper theoretical understanding that becomes more important. So you first need to understand the difference between optional, and then you start preparing, and that is the way you need to practice answer writing also, and that's how you need to write answers also. So this question, whether I should write in paragraph or bullet points, in GS I prefer bullet points. In optional I prefer paragraph. Even if it is bullet point, it's okay, but still it shows the depth. It has to be proving your depth in understanding. The deeper theoretical understanding is what is actually required. Now, most of the students ignore diagrams. See, diagrams are powerful value addition. Wherever you can add value, you should do. So, see what happens when you draw the diagram. They break the monotony, right? And that saves writing time also, and that improves the presentation, and that makes your answer stand out, that differentiate your answer. So, whenever suitable, whenever you get opportunity, even if there is no opportunity, create an opportunity. If question is asked in geography, just draw the map of India and you just mark the points and explain that. So whenever suitable, whenever you get opportunity, use diagrams, draw diagrams. And what are the type of diagrams? You see, there are useful diagrams which could be mind maps you can draw. You can draw flow charts, hub and spoke diagrams, or block diagrams, tables, charts, right? And the timelines you can draw. All of these serves different purpose. So whenever you find an opportunity where you can present it in a pictorial way, this is something which you can definitely use. Coming to mind maps, see, suppose the central theme is social change. Around it, you may show the causes, right? That's a mind map, the effects, the challenges, the solutions. So within seconds, the examiner is seeing multiple dimensions in that diagram itself. Similarly, flowchart. See, flowchart work beautifully when you explain some processes like the cause and the event and the impact and the long-term consequences, right? So it is looking very simple, it looks very clean, and it's more effective also. The presentation style is also better. Now coming to block diagram and timeline. See, for example, history. History answer becomes very stronger with chronological block diagrams. So whenever chronology matters, use timelines. So the examiner immediately understands the sequence also, and that will be rewarding. And there are situations where you can use tables. Tables are useful when you are making comparison, especially optional you might be using. So before versus after, dynasty comparisons or policy comparison, advantages, disadvantages, but don't stop only with one table. Always explain the important observation from that table in brief points as well. That is again very important, but make sure you have a comparison question, draw the table. Similarly, in GS answers, you can draw the maps. Maps are extremely useful, but never draw the entire map unnecessarily. World map, you don't want to draw that area. Strait of Hormuz is asked, you connect that Oman, Iran area, that Strait of Hormuz, and then explain that only. Draw only that relevant portion. That's my point. If you're talking about cotton, then Western India, sugarcane, you don't want to draw entire India, Southern India, Africa for decolonization, right? Now, see, if you are drawing only the relevant part, that actually saves time, and at the same time that improve your presentation also. Now, see, for example, let's start with history. I'll explain this, and it is applicable elsewhere also. For history answers, you always try to add the timelines. As I told you already, maps required, dynasties, leaders, and then any questions, current affair linkage. For example, like Cholas can be linked with Sengol, Pallavas with Mahabalipuram, right? And these linkages, if you can do, that makes your answers, in fact, more contemporary also and more memorable also. So what I'm talking about is every answer that deserves a conclusion. Now, this is a final point. You may use two approaches. In when it comes to conclusion, what I say is either the summary of what you have written, that's best for your optional. For GS, I would say a future-oriented way forward in conclusion, right? In optional, you need to give a summary, that's better. So the conclusion should leave a balanced and optimistic impression. And now let me give you a framework, ABC framework. So whenever you find difficulty, when it comes to analytical question, use this ABC framework. A stands for before, B stands for main event, C stands for consequences. For example, in World War One, before, causes, then main event, then consequences, right? So if you see, that answer become organized automatically. And whenever the question asking for results, you can divide into short-term result, long-term result, consequences, short-term consequences, long-term consequences, right? And then the simple framework you can use, and that will definitely improve your clarity on that particular answer also. Now, last and most importantly, what I want to discuss is the word limit and the time management. If you cross the word limit, automatically time management get affected, right? So you cannot cross that. It's not only about you score better in one answer by extra write up. No, that's not the case, because you have to compromise on other. So always respect the word limit. 10 marker should generally remain around 140 to 160 words, and a 15 marker 230 to 260 words. Nothing more than that. So similarly, if you are writing a 10 marker, that should ideally take 6 to 7 minutes, 6.5 minutes, and 15 markers should take around 11 to 12 minutes. If you can reduce it to 11 minutes, it's better. So time discipline is very important as knowledge. Otherwise, you'll have to compromise on another question. Similarly, respecting the word limit is also equally important. Otherwise, you'll have to compromise on time and another question. So stick to word limit and stick to time management. Another is how to write faster, improve the writing speed. See, writing speed you can improve only through repetition, right? Revise the content repeatedly. That help you to retain things and write faster. Write also a lot. Break questions into small parts so that the thinking will also become faster and the writing will also become faster. Use frameworks. Practice every day with timer. The 6 7 minutes you have to write. And answer writing is a practical skill. So, see, like any skill, if it the skill can be developed with practice. So answer writing is a practical skill. So practice more, set the timer, write the answer in time, right after doing all these revision. Only through consistent practice that you can do. Don't think that on the exam day I'll go and I'll do it, right? Now, what is an examiner friendly answer? Let me tell you this also before I close. See, before finishing any answer, you need to check, did I use headings? So that will stand out. So the examiner will understand that I have used multiple dimension. Did I write in points? Because that helps in covering more dimension, adding more quantity and more quality. Did I include the keywords, especially from the question itself? Now, did I add diagrams wherever possible? Were there any opportunity to use diagram, and did I add or did I miss it? Did I conclude properly with a way forward or a balance? Not. If yes, your answer already stands above average. Then you just need to improve upon that. And for that, I'll be there to help you. But till this, at least, it is very easy. You can do that your own, right? Now, the golden formula. Let me leave you with one formula. So facts, important, plus structure, proper structure, important, plus different dimensions you need to add, right? Diagrams whenever possible, proper conclusion. So if you add all these facts, structure, dimension, quantity, quality, diagrams, conclusion, then that is a high scoring UPSC mains answer. I hope now you understood how Priya improved her marks, or how Kiran improved 85 marks in GS, and how Himanshu improved 90 marks in GS and 55 in optional, how Ayush improved 60 marks in optional and 75 marks in GS, right? So the point is always write an introduction, break every question into smaller parts, use headings, write in points in GS, add diagrams whenever possible, use maps wherever it is relevant, conclude properly with a way forward, and practice, 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 practice. So with a daily, practice, you can improve your speed. With timer, you need to practice. So remember, answer writing is not talent; it is a skill. And if you need to improve skill, every skill can be mastered with a deliberate practice. So if you need to improve this answer writing skill, what you need is practice, right? So do this, follow this, and then I'm sure that you'll be able to do good. So see you guys in the next session. Thank you.